One of the biggest cards of the year goes down this weekend, UFC 295 from Madison Square Garden. We at Gladiator Diaries have, of course, had a very busy couple of weeks with Mo going out to Brazil. So whilst we will have an episode out for you, as usual, Friday at 5 p.m., we did record a little chat about this card a couple of weeks ago, just for it to go out on Fight Week because we didn't know whether we would have time to do it in the actual fight week itself. Now, of course, at the time, we spoke about Yuri and Alex as the co-main event and John Jones versus Stipe. So I have taken the clip of that, of Yuri versus Alex. You can get Mo's take on the light heavyweight vacant title fight, and then taking a clip from an episode, I believe it was episode 9 or 10, where we spoke about Tom Aspinall fighting Sergey Pavlovich for the interim heavyweight title on just over 2 weeks' notice. So enjoy this preview for UFC 295. Make sure to catch Gladiator Diaries this Friday at 5 p.m. on YouTube. It premieres at that time every single week, and enjoy the fights. It is one of the busiest times of the year for fight sports. It feels like at the moment there's constantly a new big fight, or in the case of us doing this podcast, yourself going off to Brazil, we got to fit stuff in. So we decided to get a quick little chat in about UFC 295 because the two fights at the top of the card are two of the biggest of the year. I'm going to leave this up to you because I don't know which one you're more interested in, because on one hand there is a vacant title fight in your division, but then there is also John Jones. So which fight do you want to start with? There are some good fights on the rest of the card, but those two are the ones that jump out.
Let's start with my division. Since it is the division that I am in, you've got Pereira v Prohaska. I mean, the stylistic. Do you know what? It's funny because I said this. I don't know if I did an interview before or maybe I said it on here, but Prohaska said, like, I do believe my grappling is better. He says, yeah, his striking is really good, but I do believe my overall MMA is better. And I said, who do you think is going to win? I said Prohaska, just because I feel he's a better overall MMA athlete, which I still believe to this day. I believe Pereira is very good. He's obviously caught up and gotten very good very quickly. Obviously, we know he's going to be working on his grappling and stuff like this because it's MMA at the end of the day. I mean, if you're going from kickboxing to MMA, you got to learn to do all the grappling side of things. But Prohaska's been doing this for years. He's been doing it since day dot. He's been doing the ground, the wrestling, and the striking, and he's very versatile and very cerebral and crazy. And you got that going clash head to head against a guy who's got a freaking left hook from hell, really good solid low kicks, great kickboxing style, big motherfucker. Do you know what I mean? Like he's got a lot of things going for him as well. But I think the overall MMA skill set, Pereira's not been necessarily tested wrestling wise the way that I think maybe people would expect him to. And maybe Prohaska will provide that difficulty, even though Prohaska doesn't really go for wrestling himself. But if you put the overall MMA aspects all together, I think Prohaska would have to be on top here. If he keeps it as a striking fight, then Pereira's obviously got the upper hand. But Prohaska's always switching stances, throwing shots from all angles. So it's a very interesting fight. I think it'll be very explosive and very entertaining for the fans. And I definitely believe in my MMA knowledge standpoint, I think it should be Prohaska taking that fight.
Yeah, I do a YouTube series where I'll try and argue for the underdog in a fight and kind of come up with why, despite them being the underdog, where they can win the fight, basically. And I was surprised to see Yuri as the underdog because, like you said, he has so many more ways to win. At the same time, his striking is crazy. He does get hit. Like he's
Yeah.
been hit with some big shots in all of his UFC fights, and so I guess that's why you don't want to be, if a guy is hittable and they're going up against Alex Pereira, that's a scary idea. But like you said, Yuri said it himself. He just doesn't really rate Alex Pereira as a martial artist. He's an incredible kickboxer. Everyone knows that. But the one thing I'm interested in, Alex Pereira has so much experience in kickboxing. Yuri Prohaska has a ridiculous amount of MMA fights, especially compared to Alex Pereira. But I'm sure that Alex Pereira has fought a ton of different striking styles, but I don't know if there's anyone that strikes like Yuri Prochazka because his
Yeah,
style is so weird.
it'll be hard to imitate a style like Yuri Prohaska. I think, if anything, probably the closest to that style would be actually my training partner Will Curry, in terms of like how they move and how they do things, how they add their fakes. But yeah, it's a very unique style. It's a very different style, and it's something that, yeah, like if you have a style that's very hard to prepare for, then it's going to make you very difficult to train. Obviously, you just have to go in there with your instincts and your own game plan and stuff like this. And but yeah, it's going to be something that will cause problems for Pereira for sure. As I'm sure Pereira's, heavy-handed nature and the way that he fights is going to cause problems for Prohaska. So this is why it's going to be very interesting to find out what happens.
One of the things that you mentioned briefly, then you said about showing people who you are, and I heard that quote earlier, that exact same line from Tom Aspinall, who is of course going to be fighting for the interim heavyweight title at UFC 295 now. I can't believe we've had another title fight change like straight after 294, but and obviously, gutted to not get to see John Jones fight, and he's going to be out for like a year. That really sucks. So I'm surprised that he has kept the heavyweight title, because with the light heavyweight belt, we had like Yuri won it, got injured, vacated the belt because he was going to be out for a year, and then the same happened with Jamal Hill. But it's John Jones. I get that him having the title is a big deal, but as UK fight fans, man, I can't wait to see Tom Aspinall go out to Madison Square Garden on 2.5 weeks' notice and fight for the interim belt. That is a crazy
It
circumstance.
is mad, yeah. Definitely the best British heavyweight that there's ever been. I think, I'm pretty sure. And he's a very exciting fighter, very articulate, um, very skillful, very highly skilled in every aspect, and it's just literally just picked them off one by one, and came back after injury, won a massive fight there, and now he gets the title shot. It's very well deserved. People have been talking about it for a while. Or the interim title, sorry, but Sergey Pavlovich has also been on a massive tear as well. So it's just a very interesting fight, and I think for UK fight fans, again, a big win with Aspinall here is just gonna it's going to be massive for the country, because we could be looking at in the future our mainstay heavyweight champion from the UK. So yeah, it's a very exciting time.
Yeah, I mean, if he obviously you've still got Garn, you've got potentially John coming back, but I think that especially with this year off, if he does come back and fight Stipe, I think that'll be it after a year. I think that if he had beat Stipe, he maybe would have stuck around for another year, but having that year off and then coming back, I just don't
Yeah,
see it. So you got a situation where if Tom beats Pavlovich, who is the actual number one contender in the division, he's terrifying right now, the run he's
yeah,
put together. If Tom beats Pavlovich, I think we could see Tom reign as heavyweight champ for quite a while. Like
yeah,
it's an exciting time. There's only one thing that gets me as excited to watch a fight like then when compared to like a huge fight like Yuri versus Alex in the main event now is massive. I can't wait for that fight. The only thing that gets me that excited is UK fighters being in big fights. So when you've got Tom in the co-main and then
yeah. It was
Yuri
very
and
well
Alex,
deserved. It was very well deserved to get that interim title shot. And like I say, both the athletes are incredibly skillful. Gone on absolutely massive runs, both of them. And yeah, it's well deserved. It's good because it shows, like, in boxing, where it's like you have like weird like fights being matched up. This is like the one that makes sense. And of course, yeah, Yuri and Alex Pereira is another fight that really makes sense. And yeah, it's a very exciting time for MMA in general. The whole world is getting filled and blasted with a load of amazing fights that have all come about weirdly in crazy situations. But the UFC is very malleable. They're able to adapt to any situation that occurs. I mean, look at what they did in COVID, and now with these situations where fights are pulling out. Obviously, wishing John Jones a very speedy recovery. He's always been one of my massive idols in the sport. But yeah, now it's obviously time for the other heavyweights to have their spot in the limelight.